I had my second child in 1995 and decided if I was going to go back to work, I wanted to go back and do something that I loved, and sport had always been something that I'd loved participating in and just thought I want to go back and work in the sports industry. So I actively went out there and looked for a job in sport, and I was very fortunate that I worked for MPIX, a sports photography agency. So that gave me about 7 years experience on the sales side and the commercial side, engaging with NGBs and rights holders, and I was really lucky. I worked on things like UEFA with the Champions League, NatWest with the cricket. This will tell you how old I am. Lloyds Bank with the 5 nations, not the 6 nations. I did that for about 7 years, and then I actually went to work for the Football Conference as the commercial director there. So it was at a point when they were looking for somebody to do an overhaul really of the Football Conference and commercialise it, increase the TV exposure and the rights exposures. I did that and then took a little career break because of my children. Did some consultancy work, and through that I actually met some people from England Netball, and they were looking for someone to come in and look at the commercial side, again quite similar to what I'd done at the Football Conference. And I started there for 3 days a week, bit the bug, went to 4 days a week, went to 5 days a week, and then an opportunity came about in September of last year when our CEO actually retired, that the role of CEO became available. So I was very fortunate to get that as a position in January of this year. Quite vast in actual fact. So I head up really the strategy of the business and oversee each individual directorate. So the reports that report directly into me are Director of Development, Director of Performance, Director of Marketing and Commercial, HR and Finance and Corporate Resources. So basically it's my job to make sure that all those guys run their directorates correctly and that we follow our strategy, and then I obviously report back into board. Are the challenges? I would say a few years ago being a woman working in football was quite a challenge. I'm not sure it is as much nowadays, but to me there are less challenges and far more opportunities. You know, if you are fortunate enough to get a break into working in sport, it is a fantastic opportunity. You know, some people get up and have to go and work in a factory or just produce something that is not very exciting. Our product is sport, so it is just a phenomenal opportunity and you should make every single moment of it pay. The challenge is it's pretty 24/7, I would say. You're also dealing with people where it's so passionate. The thing that they do is normally the passion in their life, so it can be about controlling the enthusiasm sometimes, but overall to me it's a phenomenal opportunity. I'll probably get shot for this one. Being a small woman, always wear high heels to meetings, I would say would be the first thing. Piece of advice. I think you have to be really true to yourself. I think there's a lot of people that come into business and try and be something they're not, and potentially sometimes be a little bit cleverer or try to sound a little bit cleverer. I think you just have to be really genuine and be the person that you are, because you spend a lot of time at work and you can't keep that kind of facade up for very long. So yeah, I would say be very genuine. I think you have to be a visionary, especially with the current place that sport is in. You have to see outside of traditional sport and see where sport can actually go in the next few years. Probably some of the bigger sports have already made those steps, but for sports of our size, I think you really do need to be visionary. To be a leader in sport, you also have to understand that a lot of it is supported by a volunteer network, and you have to have real sensitivities towards that and towards people who give of their time for nothing. And I think you have to be very realistic about where we sit, just in life really, and take it seriously. But it's sport and it's a dream and it's people's passions, and maybe not take it too seriously. Okay, I know straight away. It's a lady called Ashworth, who worked at Sky. She'd been there for over 20 years. She retired recently, but I brokered quite a few TV rights deals with her. She was a very, very tough lady, very fair lady, but also she broke all the boundaries when it came to rising to the ranks within sport, being a woman in a very, very male-dominated industry. So definitely Sue Ashworth.